Hello Python programmers. So in this video, I'm going to show you that how you can create a GUI based jumble words game using Python. So if you don't know what a jumble word game is, let me tell you the rules first. The GUI will provide you a word whose alphabets are randomly arranged, and you have to tell that what is the correct spelling of the word that you are able to guess from that jumbled set of alphabets. Okay, so this project will be divided into three sections. First is the GUI part, where we'll create our game GUI. Second, we'll take some random words and then shuffle their alphabets so that they can be provided to the user. And in the third part, we'll check whether the answer provided by the user is similar to our original word or not. Okay, so we don't need any external library to be installed in this project. We'll use Tkinter and random. These libraries comes pre-installed, so we'll quickly jump to our editor and start writing our code. Okay, so our first task is to import our libraries first. So we'll import Tkinter and all the components required. Okay, so now we are done importing our libraries. We'll jump off to our first part where we'll create our GUI. So first we'll create a class object. Let's say root. So we'll use root here dot tk. Okay, and then we'll define the geometry of our Tkinter window or a game window. So we'll use geometry, and the size here will be 300 by 300. Okay, 300 by 300. This should be a string. Okay, now we'll have four components in our Tkinter window. First will be the label, which will actually display those shuffle words. Then we have a entry box which will accept the user input. Then we'll have two buttons, first to check and second to reset. Okay, so we'll create our first label. So let's say label 1. Okay, so now we have created our first label. So let me explain you this. So inside this label function, make sure this L is capital. Our first parameter is the class object, this root, and the second is the font here. The third is usually the text, but we'll use a function to define the text here. So we are not providing the text parameter here. We are just providing what will be the font style. Then we'll pack our label into a Tkinter window. These are the coordinates or the situations on which our label will be packed or fitted on our Tkinter window. So let's quickly create our entry box now. Now make sure that this S and this V is capital, and also this E is capital here for entry. Okay, so now let's see what we have done here. We have created a string variable called answer. Then we are creating our entry widget here, which will be having these two parameters. First is the class object root, and second is the text variable, which is again this string variable. Now whatever you will provide to this entry widget will be stored in this answer variable. Now we can use the value provided by the user in our entry widget wherever we want. We just have to use this answer variable. Okay, so then we have tagged our entry widget. So let's quickly create our two buttons. Once again, make sure that this B is capital for the button. Okay, so now we are done. Let's close our main loop and see how our GUI is looking. So let me first create these two functions. Otherwise, this will raise an error saying that answer check and reset is not defined. So we'll create these two variable and just write something inside. Def the second function name, and then again let's print something inside. We'll print nothing inside. Okay, so message box is not defined because there should be two S here. Okay, so okay, I'm having an error because this should be fonts, not fronts. Okay, too many errors. Label 1 is not defined because this is LB1. Okay, so I'll just fast forward while I am removing my errors. Okay, so we are done. Okay, so we are done. There you can see that this is the GUI that we intend to create. Over here we'll have our text which the user have to guess, or the word, shuffle word that the user has to guess. This is the reset button. This is the check button to check whether the answer provided by the user in this entry widget is correct or not, and this is the reset button to reset this word here. Okay, so we are done with the first part. Let's create our second part where we'll choose some random words, let's say Python, Harshit, whatever it is, and then we'll create a loop or something to shuffle the alphabets of all those words. Okay, so let's quickly do that. So let's first create list for all our words. Let's say answers. Okay, now this should be a list here, and inside the list we'll write some of the words. Let's say Python. Okay, so now we have created a list of some random words. Let's create a for loop which will convert the alphabets of all these words. Okay, so first of all we'll create, let's say, a words list which is a empty list. Then we'll create a for loop for I in answers so that we can extract all the elements from this list. Then we'll say words is equal to list of I, because by separating each of the alphabets into a separate list, our task will be easily performed. Then we'll use the shuffle class of our random module. There you can see we have imported at the top, so we'll use shuffle here, shuffle, and then we'll provide that list which is the words here. Okay, so let's make this word because we are already having a variable word. Okay, so now we are gonna append this into our words list, which is the empty list. So let me first write, then I'll explain you that what is happening inside. Okay, so let me explain you what is happening here. So this for loop is accepting one word at a time. This word is then converted into a string. Then all these strings, all the elements of the string are shuffled, and then we are appending that word of shuffled alphabets into our words list. So at the end of this for loop, all these words will be shuffled and stored into this words list. Okay, so we are done with the second part. Let's go on with our third part, where we'll create our all the function which will check whether our answer is correct or not. Okay, so we need to create three functions. First will be the initiation function, which will initially print the random word on our Tkinter window as soon as the program starts. So let's call this initial. Okay, so we don't need any parameter here, and then what we'll do is, as soon as the program is run, this initial function will be called initial. Okay, so let's go back to our function. Okay, so first of all we have to call our global variables, that is words, answer, this is answer here, and our num variable. So we haven't defined num yet. Okay, so first let's define our num variable. So let's define somewhere here. Num will actually be a random number which will help us to select a random word from this list. Okay, so we'll use random.randint here. Okay, so let me explain you what is happening here. This random.randint will select from 0 to the length of words, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it will select from 0 to 6 any random word. That shuffled random word will be displayed to you as first. Okay, so let's get back to our initial function. Then we'll configure our label, which is lb1. Okay, so let me explain you what is happening here. So we have imported all these three variables, although we don't need them. We need only words and num. So let me exclude this answer from here. So we are providing text to our label one label widget. As I have told you while I was creating that label, that we'll define the text afterwards. So we are doing this here, and this label will have the value as the randomly arranged word of this randomly created number. So let me try to explain you in simple words. Let's say that the randomly generated number is 1. Okay, so the user will get words of 1 or the second element of this words list, that is the random arrangement of YouTube. Okay, so now I guess you are quite comfortable with this line here. So let's move ahead and create our remaining two functions, that is to check the answer and to reset. Okay, so we need all our three variables here. So this should be global. So this should be global here. So we are calling all the global values that is provided outside this function. And then what we'll do is we'll get the answer from our entry widget also. So what we'll do here is we'll do even.get, and let's store this into a variable. Let's say user input. Okay, so this is the input provided by the user, and then we'll use a if and else condition to compare whether the answer provided by the user is similar to the word present in our answers list or not. Okay, so let me write the code first, then I'll explain you. Okay, so just pay attention what I'm speaking. So first of all, we'll compare that whether the answer provided by the user is similar to the answer of the number, that is the correctly ordered alphabet list to that randomly created number that was provided to the user. If that is right, which means that user has guessed the right answer, then it will display a message saying that success, yep, this is the right answer. Okay, so success is the small sign that will be displayed just beside this text, and then we'll reset the value. Now resetting the value will clear your entry box and then provide you with a new word. So we'll write that function in just a bit. First, let's understand this. If the answer is not correct, then this message box will be displayed, nope, this isn't the right answer, and the entry box will be empty. Okay, so let's create our reset function which will provide us with a new alphabet. Okay, this reset function is called, which means that we have to choose a new word from this list also. So we'll do this random.randint again. So I'll just uh, copy and paste this here, and then what we'll do is we'll configure our label again with the changed alphabet from our list, the randomly arranged alphabet. So text is equal to randomly arranged number, that is our num variable, and then we also need to empty our entry box. So let's save this and run our program. Uh, this is pretty obvious because my code never runs at the first go. So let me check. Answers is not defined. Okay, because this is answer here. Let's run this again, and okay, so our GUI is working fine and our initial function is also working fine. So let's see whether our rest2 function are working fine or not. Okay, so I have entered Python and we are having an error saying that answers is not defined. Once again, an spelling mistake. This should be answer here, and Anywhere else I have made this mistake? Okay, so we'll find that out. Let me close this one. Let's run this again. Okay, so this is India. I'm pretty good at this game. String variable does not support indexing. Okay. Okay, so we are using the same string variable here. This was the problem. So let me name this as answer 1 2. Now I don't think there should be an error. COFFEE. Yep, this is the right answer, so it's working fine. Reset is not defined. So let's see, because this R should be capital here. Okay. So let's see Python again. Okay. If I reset, then the alphabets are changed. Okay, so working fine. If I write something else, okay, so the else function is working fine. Okay, so this was the project that I have promised you to create at the starting of the video only. So this is it. This was not a very great project, but still it was a good project to test your many skills, like how you work on list, some of the Python packages that comes pre-installed, so we have explored them also. So this is it, and I'll meet you in my next lecture where we'll create something more awesome. Okay, so meet you there. Bye bye.